Hello. Hello, everyone. Um, Today is day one of the Purpose Lab starting, and I'm really excited to be here. I actually have with me some cacao, ceremonial grade. I wish I could show you. There we go. Um, and yeah, I find it really meaningful to be sipping cacao this morning. Um, I mean, I know perhaps you're tuning in from different parts of the world, but here in Dallas, Texas, it's morning. And when I think of purpose work, Ben has always accentuated the heartfelt sense. And so as we get ready for today and for these upcoming days of honing in and listening to our desires and what we'd like to manifest, and perhaps what we're meant to manifest, and the work we're meant to do here on this earth. It's definitely a heart-centered thing. And so probably many of you know that cacao exactly has that effect of opening up the heart. Yeah, and just to say, I don't want to take too much time up, but this is my third or fourth time doing the Purpose Lab, and I'm fully participating. I'm ready because I just feel like there's more to dig in, even on the indents the previous labs have done for me and revealed to me. But here I am wanting to dig deeper, or really just kind of confront it a bit more. So I just wanted to share that. I'm going to go ahead and bring Ben in. Yeah, just some housekeeping things. We did send you guys the Purpose Lab workbook, which you can type in directly. But if you want a paper and a pen, go ahead and do that. And yeah, just try to be as present as possible if you're watching the recording. I also encourage that, just setting aside an hour so that you can dedicate this time for you, which is really a gift to yourself, because otherwise it's the most important things that evade us, just like purpose work. So I'll see if Ben has anything to add for housekeeping, but that's all that's coming to me now.
Hey, good morning, Maria.
Hello, hi.
Awesome. Thanks for that great intro. I'm glad that you are sipping that beautiful cacao. Like you said, it is extremely relevant. I want to emphasize that we're actually going to open up today when I start into the actual lab. We're going to open with a very short meditation, kind of connecting to our hearts, because that's where purpose work has to come from. That's the center of gravity. That's the source of fire for all of this work we're going to do. It's really about the heart and not the head. Head is very useful and powerful, and we need our critical thinking. We need our cognitive skills and abilities. But when it really comes down to it, those are tools in the service of our heart's true desire. And so I think cacao is a beautiful. I wish everyone watching either live or the recording could have their own cup of ceremonial cacao with them to enhance the experience. I do know that sometime post COVID, when we're having lots and lots of in-person retreats and experiences, we'll do the Purpose Lab accompanied by cacao, and that will be incredible.
Wow, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So just you mentioned housekeeping. I'm super excited about the workbook. That's an enhancement that we're doing for this version, this running. This is the first running where we've had the workbook. And like you said, Maria, it's intentionally designed for people to be able to type directly into it. And I like your suggestion. I was actually going to make it as well, that it might be beneficial for the first time you go through these prompts and exercises to go ahead and do it by hand. There's a lot of benefit to handwriting. It's almost like a lost skill. And then what can be really powerful is then use the digital version to sort of refine your thinking and your reflections and kind of coming to a bit more of a laser focus. In particular, for this opening activity that I'm going to do today, I'm almost going to recommend paper and pen first, and then using the workbook later today or later in the week even to go in and refine the reflection from today. Really powerful. So I know that we have a lot of people um, who watch the recordings for these. We can't always choose the perfect time for live viewers, but we have a few live viewers, and that's fantastic. And we will watch for live comments and address them as much as possible, as promptly as possible. But whether you're watching live or the recording, like Maria said, like try to gift yourself this moment. It's not selfish to really tune in to your authentic way of living and being. And that's really what this is about. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but tapping into purpose, setting goals is not about some kind of obsessive productivity. It's not about materialism. Like all these things will happen. Actually, you can become way more productive. You can have material abundance and wealth. That can all come. But this is really about tapping into purpose is really about tapping into an essence and not denying that. And whatever spiritual beliefs you have, how can you deny that the universe doesn't want that the universe wants you to be living completely unfolded with all your gifts on display? That's what the universe wants, regardless of your spiritual approach, right? So anything else you want to add before we begin the dive in, Maria? I know you're gonna exit and be following along on your own.
Just to say, of course, like questions, comments, all time, anytime, whether you're live, catching us live or not, we welcome interaction and engagement.
Yeah, good point. Including in the Facebook group. It's hard. I know people are inundated with so many different groups here and there. I mean, how many Facebook groups are we all in? But I don't want people to be shy or hesitant about letting their voice into the Purpose Lab group. That's why it's designed. It's young. It's less than a year old, right? And sometimes those communities take a while to build and build this sense of rapport. But I really want that to happen. That's our vision for the Purpose Lab group. So please don't be shy about adding your comments, your feedback, your voice, your questions, your insights there. We want to spark conversation and community. That's really the goal of that group.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let us begin, but I'm here in the background if you need anything.
Beautiful. Thank you, Maria. See you soon.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So I do not have my ceremonial grade cacao, but I do have a smoothie, my morning smoothie. Isn't it funny how like the more disgusting something looks, probably the more healthy it is? All the good stuff. Why does it have to look so bad? But it doesn't taste bad. It tastes delicious. So here we are. Here we are, day one of the Purpose Lab. This is a workshop that I developed, almost a year ago. I mean, the seeds for it were planted many years ago. Something that's been incubating, but it almost took the pandemic for it to catalyze into something manifested like this that I was just so enthusiastic and excited to bring into the world and share. And so here you are, whether live or watching the recording, participating in this unfolding. So here's what we're going to do today. So day one is about, as Maria mentioned, and as I reiterated, tapping into your true desires, because it's called the Purpose Lab. Why? Because it's like a laboratory for us to experiment, where we have lots of spaciousness and freedom, where we can take risks. That's why we named it the Purpose Lab, because the laboratory has this sense of experimentation. It's not do or die. There's some playfulness, right? Safety, the laboratories also have that sort of connotation. We don't necessarily lean on that. It's more about this sense of experimenting, alchemizing. I love the metaphor of alchemy, right? Of taking these energies and forces and transforming them consciously. So, what we're going to do now is a little activity to really see if we can tap into our true desires, because that's our pathway to purpose. There are some guided activities where I can walk you through and go straight to purpose, and there's a direct path to that. And there's a lab I run called the Purpose Lab Intensive that does just that, and it is powerful. But I almost like and prefer this indirect approach we're going to take over the next 3 days, which is to, number one, just tap into something real and authentic in your heart. From that, design a goal, and we're going to talk, that's the main topic for today, is talking about goals. And then from that goal, you begin to build the habits, you begin to build the practices and the affirmations that are just going to resonate with purpose. And we kind of like back up into purpose. So both approaches are extremely valid, but that's the approach of the Purpose Lab. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to tune in. We need to get out of our heads a little bit and into our bodies, into our hearts for this first activity. So wherever you are, just participate in this if it's safe for you. If you're driving, then that's okay. Just listen and then come back and participate later. That's fine. But otherwise, make sure you're sitting in a comfortable spot, in a comfortable position. And if it's safe for you and feels comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. It's going to help you tap in a little bit more easily. And I just want you to come consciously into your body. You know, like Maria mentioned, here in Dallas, Texas, where we are, it's 9 a.m. Monday morning. Did you know that the highest percentages of heart attacks happen on Monday mornings? And that's because we have these hard transitions between our personal life and what we call our work life. And one of my visions about purpose is that line can get blurrier and blurrier in a good way. I don't mean that a job you don't like is invading your purpose life. I mean the opposite. I mean, your life is so infused with purpose that it bleeds into everything you do, including your work. And so on Sundays, you have no cases of the Mondays. You're actually excited and thrilled because it's another week, it's another opportunity to pour into your purpose. So let's just embrace where we are now. Come into your body. Bring awareness to your breath. Notice your breath moving in and out through your nose or mouth. And just come there. Let go of your Monday thoughts. Just pay attention to the sensations in your body. Our bodies are extremely intelligent. So just listen to that intelligence. Give your body a voice right now and just see what it's telling you about your Monday, about your week. Do you hear something? Do you hear that voice? That message is really important. If we tuned in on a Friday night, the message would be very different. But here we are on a Monday morning, which is a beautiful time to tune in and see whether we have resonance or dissonance in our lives, in our work life balance and alignment. And that might be why you're here in the Purpose Lab. So we're going to take 3 breaths now, breathing straight into our heart. Now, that might not make sense to you, so don't get caught up on whether you're doing it right or wrong. I just want you to inhale and allow that inhale to just go straight down into your heart and just feel your heart fill with the breath. Feel your heart waking up. And then exhale. 2 more times. Inhale straight into your heart. Waking up that heart, warming it up, acknowledging it. And then releasing. 1 more breath into the heart. And exhale. And just release. And just come back into this space now. Wherever you are watching the Purpose Lab, just be here. Be here right now. There's nowhere else to go. You're doing some very good work for yourself that will, if you put heart into it, will absolutely benefit you and others in your life. Okay? So here's what we have to do. We're going to talk about goals today, but before we talk about goals, we really have to do an exercise to listen to that voice that we just tried to wake up in our heart. So the problem with goals is when we're asked to set a goal, or we feel some kind of internal call or pressure to set a goal, we often go first to sort of this, cultural script. It's almost like there's this menu of goals and types of goals. And it's almost like we're shopping. And so we go to the goal store and we look at the shelves, the different categories. Okay, health. Okay, wealth. Okay, achievements, relationships, whatever, all those categories. And then we find the goal that sounds good, seems to have some good credibility or status, and we pull it and we adopt it. We put it on our own shelf. You may get lucky and your heart may truly align with one of those off the shelf goals, but really those goals don't work and they don't last unless they truly are connected and anchored into your true desires. Now, that phrase, true desires, is kind of tricky, right? Um, I don't know. Some of us, from our own backgrounds, if we come at this from kind of a more spiritual framework, for example, that word desires can have some tricky connotations, right? It seems like we're supposed to be desireless, right? And a distinction I make is desires are not the same as cravings. Um, Desires are not the same as attachments. Desires are about the true natural voice of your heart that comes and flows almost without effort. And you can ask yourself where these come from, but it doesn't really matter too much. That is a fun journey to take. But right now we're just worried about what that actual voice is. And to do that, we really have to cut through all of the noise about goals, right? Because the first thing we tend to go to, just look at the statistics about New Year's resolutions. You know, there's a lot of New Year's resolutions that we all set. Sometimes, somehow, like coming out of that winter holiday season, we all have this instinct that like this year is going to be better and I'm going to be better. And these are the things I'm going to do. But instead of looking inward in that moment and just really intuitively and with our imagination tuning in to what it is we really want for ourselves, we go to that goal store and we start shopping. Gym membership, lose 10 pounds, I'm going to do this, I'm going to accomplish this, and that's fine. But those goals don't last because they're not aligned. So let's tap in. Here's what we're going to do. You have this in your workbook, but I'm going to recommend that you just do this with pen and paper. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you a prompt, and the prompt is really simple. It sounds too simple, but it's powerful. What I want you to do is write and reflect on what you truly, truly desire in your heart for your life. Now, here's the problem. Um, your first instinct is going to be to write something that's low hanging fruit, that's kind of right there, easy to grab. It sounds good. It sounds reasonable, even. It's something you could share with your best friend, with a family member that wouldn't seem embarrassing. And I'm going to tell you something that's a little difficult to take. But if you write down something that doesn't feel a little bit embarrassing to say out loud, then you haven't gone deep enough. You need to go deeper. You need to go farther. This is just an exercise that no one else on planet Earth is going to see. It's just for you. I'm not asking you to put it in the comments. I'm not asking you to share or submit it. You're not going to post it on social media. This is between you and the universe. And so that's one reason why I want you to do it on a piece of paper, because you even have the freedom that as soon as this is over, to shred it up, to ball it up, to throw it away, to burn it even. There's no pressure to share this with anyone because I want you to get real gritty and real with yourself about what you desire. Okay? So I was at a workshop this weekend, a Wim Hof breathwork workshop, and one of the concepts we talked about was how we bump up against our own perceived limits, right? The edges of what we think we can do or what's possible. And then we think we're kind of done. But in reality, that first limit that we hit, where we stop and we think we're done, that's about 40% of our real capacity. And that's how it is with this exercise. You're going to start to write, you're going to start to reflect, and you're going to think like, okay, that's the edge. That's about as deep as I can get. But you're actually only about 40% in. You need to go deeper. Just dream it. Just absolutely write it and dream it. No one's holding you to it. No one's mocking you. No one's going to laugh at you. But if you can't articulate it, even to yourself in complete safety and privacy, how do you think the universe is going to bring it about for you or with you? It can't. You have to be able to articulate it, as wacky and as scary as it might be. So that's why we're going to start right here. Okay? So you have the prompt in your workbook. It says, use the space below to complete your guided reflection on what you truly, truly desire. So that's your prompt. Right now, I'm going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I'll just read the situation and reflect right now on what you truly, truly desire. I'm going to put on a little music to set the tone, take the pressure off. I'm going to do some reflecting myself right now as well and join you. And I'll see you on the other side of this. See if you can get way beyond that 40% and push your edges. Push your edges. See if you can articulate what you truly desire for your life. And you can think about any realm that is in your mind and heart today. Relationships, wealth, job, geography, accomplishments, those are all fine, but you need to be able to articulate it. Okay? All right, here we go. Begin. Okay, how was that? Did you spend your time going deeper and deeper and articulating this to yourself, to the universe? Now, like I said, you're not going to need to share this. Hold on to it for now. Hold on to it for now. You're going to need it to reflect on the next part of the Purpose Lab, which is the goal setting. But like I said, no obligation to share this. This was a safe, intimate activity for between you and yourself and the universe. And it's going to inform the goals that we work on right now. It's really important. Okay. Maria's commenting that she felt some nice free flow there. That's good. That's good. And it doesn't always happen the first time, by the way. You might have been stuck. You might have been on that 40%, and that's okay. Sometimes this takes repetition, coming again and again. That's why we do the Purpose Lab again and again, because the more you tap in, you're always going to get a little bit farther. Okay. So I'm going to share some screen now, and we're going to kind of walk through the next couple steps. Okay. So the first thing you see there is the workbook, right? I just have this up to kind of highlight in case you haven't opened it yet or haven't taken a look at it yet. It's a PDF file that is writable. We really like that trait so that you can work directly on your phone, directly on your computer. And like we said, you may want to work first in your journal and then use this as kind of like your crystallization or your polishing phase of kind of getting it more formally into writing. Okay. But I'm going to put that away now, and we're going to launch into a little deck to talk about the next phase of the Purpose Lab. All right. So why are we here? We're here to level up our goals, because what happens when you do that? Your vitality goes up. Your passion for life goes up. When you have a compass, when you have something pulling you out of bed in the morning, that's a superpower. And that's how you should feel, by the way. That's how we should feel, is we have some natural, spontaneous passion getting us through the day, right? So how do we get there? Well, there's a Japanese concept called Ikigai, and it's really inspired me for years. It's this concept that kind of within all of us, we have our Ikigai, which is our reason for being. And part of our journey in life, part of our purpose in life for everyone is to tap into that Ikigai and find ways that in your day-to-day life, in the unfolding of your life, that you really feel that resonance. And it's a unique journey for everybody, but part of it is doing this purpose work. Now, this diagram that you see here, I just want to clarify, is not directly from Ikigai. It's inspired by Ikigai. It's called the purpose chart. Okay. And this idea is at the core of purpose work, is that there's this sweet spot in the center of several different factors from your life that when you find it, you have resonance, you have passion, you have energy, and you begin to attract things into your life that are in alignment with your purpose. Okay. So number one, something that you absolutely love. This is your natural, spontaneous passion. Sometimes for this, it's very useful to go back to your childhood, actually, before so much of this noise and before so many of these extra filters were incorporated into your subconscious mind, and just see what those natural curiosities and passions and excitements that you had were. It's always interesting to think about. I kind of think back about my, spontaneous and natural passions and curiosities as a kid. And then I'd see how many of those I still nurture. And most of them have disappeared and dissipated. And sometimes there's a joy as you get older and you wake up to that and you begin to reconnect with some of those childhood passions. And it infuses you, it rejuvenates you. It's really fun. But we don't stop there. Yes, you're passionate about it. Yes, you love it, but you're also good at it. Like, this is an important factor in purpose as well. Like, you bring some kind of talent or ability to it, usually natural. So usually something that you have an aptitude for pretty naturally. It doesn't mean that you don't put work into it to refine it, to evolve it, to get better, but it's something that has come to you pretty naturally. If you think about it, if you're absolutely lousy at calculus, probably you don't love calculus, right? So we tend to love the things that we have that natural aptitude for. So it's not so hard to find that intersection between you love it and you're great at it. But here's what I love about purpose work. We don't stop there. If you stop there, you've got a good passion, you've got maybe a good hobby. What transmutes this into a sense of purpose? The world needs it. Something that meets a need in the world around us. And this changes from year to year, decade to decade for sure, right? So this is very relevant to the time and place where you're existing right now. Like, what does the world need right now? We're coming out, we're at the tail end of a long, difficult period for the entire planet Earth, right? There's some really unique and specific needs right now. How does your passion align with that? You're getting closer to your purpose, if so. And finally, purpose work is also practical. Earlier, I was talking about sort of this dissonance between our life, our inner life, our true life, our authentic life, and then our work, right? And purpose work doesn't mean that tomorrow you quit your job and you go, design custom surfboards in Malibu. Maybe if you can pull that off, that's beautiful. But it doesn't necessarily have to be something extreme. A lot of people have instant awakenings and they do it and they're all in and it works out. And that's great. But I don't want you to feel pressured that this is about taking some kind of extraordinary, extreme measure right away. It can be a gradual process, and that's beautiful too. So maybe you are going to be doing that 9 to 5 that you don't necessarily love while you do this purpose work, and you're maybe refining your vision and your goals, and you're working on your goals, and you're designing affirmations to bring out those personal traits that you know are going to help lead you to the next phase. But ultimately, purpose work is about alignment and resonance. You know, somehow your purpose infuses every second of your life 24/7. Okay. And so for that to happen, you have to be paid for it. Unless you're independently wealthy and you can just pursue it as like a hobby purpose and find something the world needs, then you can kind of disregard that final circle. But most of us do need to think about that as well. If I'm really going to live my purpose, how can I also be practical and turn this into a way to earn resources and money to keep myself alive? And not just that, thrive, thrive, and embrace abundance, right? A lot of us have blocks about abundance and money, and purpose work is also about bumping up against those blocks, questioning them, questioning those paradigms, and then breaking through them. Because anything that's limiting your full expression doesn't need to be there. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about goals. Now, a goal should genuinely and legitimately excite you. When you write out your goal, you should feel it in your body. That's how you know you're getting into something that's true and aligned. When we recite goals that sound good, that because they follow the script, they sound good to our family, to our friends, our coworkers. That's not a real goal. It's not. It's more like a task or a to do, or you're playing your role and following your script. And, this is another difficult moment to take, but that's not why you're here. You can love your family, you can take care of your family, but you can't live for your family. You have to really go deep and ask, how can I unlock and unleash all my true gifts? That's what's going to bring the most benefit to my family. If I'm completely thriving in my own purpose, there's no way I can't bring benefit to my family, right? If you're aligned with those 4 spheres that we were just looking at. Okay, so goals that excite you. So here's us. And tomorrow, Purpose Dab Day 2, you'll understand this strange looking diagram that represents us and the different parts of our mind. But so when we say, okay, I'm going to set a goal, our first instinct is usually to set something within our sights that seems realistic. We never want to set ourselves up for failure, right? So our first instinct is usually, okay, I know how to do that. I'm going to set this goal here. It's within my current realm of experience, so it doesn't seem wacky. It seems really possible. There might be a few steps, but man, I know how to do that. So we usually set that goal. And I study under Bob Proctor and his teachings, and he calls that an A-type goal. This goal that's sort of like within our current reality. We actually know how to do it. Um, there's not really much challenge to ourselves or to our own paradigms to get there. That's called an A-type goal. And as Bob puts it, that's a terrible goal. That's a bad goal because you're not fulfilling the true purpose of a goal, which is to cause you to grow. It's really that simple. Why do we set goals? It's not to get the next thing. I know it seems like it. I know it seems like the purpose of a goal is to achieve the thing or to get the thing, but that's never ending. That's never ending. You know, it's interesting. Ken Honda is this Japanese kind of wealth guru, right? And he teaches about abundance and wealth, and he brings kind of a unique Japanese experience. And he spent a lot of time traveling around Japan, interviewing and really getting to know the wealthiest people in Japan. And so he would start at tier one, and he would talk to these who he considered wealthy people, and they all felt like they weren't wealthy yet. They all felt like, man, I'll feel comfortable calling myself wealthy when I'm at this level, okay, just beyond where they were. And so then next he went and he interviewed people who were at that tier, and he said, okay, finally, I'm going to talk to people who like embody wealth and feel wealthy. And he talked to that tier. Guess what they said? Well, thanks for coming to me. I thanks you for the respect, but I'm not wealthy. I'll be wealthy when I'm there. And so they pointed up to the next level. And so it was never ending. Like there's no end to this race. So the goal is not about the next thing, because you're going to get there and you're going to be noticing the next thing. So it's really about what happens to you as a human being between where you are now and that goal. You have to expand. You have to unleash all of your gifts. You don't unleash all of your gifts with these A-type goals. An A-type goal is more like a to-do item. There's this little anecdote that Bob always tells in his teachings. He's like, he was coaching this guy, and he's like, oh, Bob was like, hey, how you doing? Like, so what's your goal? He says, well, I really want to get a Pontiac. He wanted to get a car. And so Bob's like, oh, okay, that's a nice car. I've driven a Pontiac before. What are you driving now? And he says, a Pontiac. Oh, okay. Interesting. When did you buy it? 3 years ago. Huh. Interesting. So you're telling me that you just set a goal that's exactly the same thing that you've already done 3 years ago? He said, that's a crap goal. Like, frankly, that sucks. You're not going to grow at all. That's more like a to-do item. So you can have an A-type goal, but don't call it a goal. Just put it on your to-do list. Like, you're going to do that thing. Excellent. Get it on your 90-day radar and just do it. Okay. So then what happens? I mean, most of us get called out on this either by ourselves or someone kind of confronts us and they're like, hey, I don't think that's real challenging. Can you take it to the next level? What's our instinct? Is we take our A-type goal and we just make it bigger. We sort of amplify it. And this is what Bob calls a B-type goal. On the surface, it seems like, okay, we've done a good thing. Now we're really stretching ourselves, right? But really, our B-type goal is still within this reality that we consider like doable. Like we can imagine, even though it's harder, we can still imagine how to get there. So there's not really a stretch. There's not really a lot of internal growth that's going to happen. Maybe there's more internal work that will have to happen, but that's not the same as growth. And so we set that B-type goal, and what happens? It's hard. And so it's requiring a lot of input on our part, but it's not aligned really with our true desires. And so we burn out and we let it go. And so this is what happens. This is like most New Year's resolutions are usually A or B type goals, right? So what happens? There is another level, and it's called a C type goal. And the C type goal has two characteristics. It's aligned with our true desires. So that activity that you just did, if you derive a goal from that exercise, from the depth of the place that you went in that activity, and you set a goal from that could be a C-type goal. And also another trait of a C-type goal is that it exists beyond this line. This black line here you see is this line that's kind of this boundary of what we consider realistic. And so it's almost verging on this area that we consider fantasy. Crazy. That's why I was talking earlier about it feels a little embarrassing to say out loud to someone who's known you for a while, because they know the old you that lives below this line, right? Like You've been down here for a long time. You look around your life and what do you see? You see results in all realms of your life that are down here below this line. So it seems like that's just reality, right? But throughout history, people have found ways to cross this line. A new sort of paradigm opens up for others. And so more and more people are able to cross that line, right? So that's where you need to set your goal on the other side of that line. Why? Because by setting a goal in this realm of what we consider imagination or fantasy, there's no choice but to grow. Remember, I was saying again and again, the real purpose of a goal is to grow, to expand yourselves, to unlock your full gifts. The only way to do that is if you set a goal on the other side of that line. But here's the thing, unlike a B type goal, a C type goal has some real gravity to it. You know what I mean by gravity? A lot of goals that we set are pushes, like push, push, willpower, strength, determination, push, push, push. A C type goal has some pull. That's why I like the term gravity. It's just like naturally. That's what I mean by get you out of bed in the morning. Like it has some pull to it. It has some excitement to it. And part of purpose work, if you end up working with me more elaborately, is there's some morning work where we do daily goal visioning to reinforce that gravity again and again and again and strengthen that pull. And that can only happen if you're setting the goal up there in the C type range because it's aligned with your heart's true desires. And so here's a little anecdote I like to give as an example. Now, another thing I just want to emphasize really quick is that goals are relative. Goals are absolutely relative. So this example that I'm going to give, this would be an example for me personally for an A, B, and C. But for someone else, what I put there as an A type goal could be a C type goal for someone. So I just want to acknowledge that this is not about comparison. It's about you. Only you know where that line is. And likewise, my C type goal is absolutely an A type goal for world-class ultra runners. So I know that too. So it goes both ways. But here's my example. So a type A goal. I wake up and I say, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit out of shape. I'm gonna run a 10K within 60 days. Okay. So if I went to my friend Justin and told him that, he'd be like, really, Ben, a 10K? Haven't you done like 10Ks in your life? Yeah, but I'm feeling a little out of shape, so I'm gonna run a 10K. He's like, you're gonna get nothing out of that. You might get back into shape a little bit. You're gonna get a nice little finisher's medal and an Instagram photo, but that's about it, right? I'm not gonna grow as a human being. I'm not gonna get into deeper levels of Ben by running a 10K. So then I might say, okay, yeah, Justin, you're right. I'm gonna up the ante. I'm gonna run a 50K. And Justin would be like, huh, okay, interesting. In 2018, didn't you run a 50-mile race? Yeah, I did. Okay, well, I mean, do you know what you would do to run a 50K? I'd be like, yeah, I was thinking about it. I would have to tweak my training plan, work on my diet a little bit, blah blah blah. And those things are true, but I wouldn't really be challenged as a human. And by the way, it doesn't sound exciting. It just sounds bigger than my A type goal, but it doesn't excite me. It's not really aligned with my true purpose. And so then if I'm really challenged and I need to set a goal that's beyond fantasy, here's what I do. There's a famous ultra marathon race that it's 250 kilometers crossing the northern deserts of Africa. It's brutal, it's complicated, it's primal at the same time. It's so many logistics to figure out, and it's crazy, and it's also kind of exciting, right? Like that does excite me. So if I were going to set a goal related to running, and I set that run in the Marathon des Sables in Northern Africa, oh my God, like, yeah, that does kind of get me going because I think about all the logistics to put together, the team I would have to put in place, the training. I would have to so stretch myself into new areas and all of these and my mindset, my physical form, that's a real C type goal. Like I'm getting somewhere now. So that little example is just to highlight how this can look for you, right? You could do the same thing with wealth and income. You could do the same thing with your career, the type of position you want. Like it's the same idea. Sometimes that's why only you know where that line is, but it also helps to work with someone who can kind of like ask you the right questions and sort of guide you to that line and help you make that little leap on the other side to actually set the goal. Okay. And so growth, that's why we go C type. Our mindset, our relationships, our self image, our faith in the process, right? Faith in ourselves, the discipline, the self discipline, by the way. I know discipline's a loaded word as well. This means self discipline, the ability to tell yourself you're going to do something and follow through. And then the confidence that you're going to build. It's like endless. This list of things that are going to unlock are endless. So for me to get from where I am to that C type goal, to run in that ultra marathon, I would grow so much as a human. And then you know what? I would finish that marathon or not finish it, but there would be Ben on the other side of that line with all this new growth, all this new richness and character. And then I would be in a new spot. And then that marathon next year would be a type A goal. And guess what I got to do? I got to go bigger. I got to think, all right, Ben, what's next for you? Where do you need to grow? Where do you want to grow? What excites you? And the cycle continues. So that's why you see how it's not really about the goal itself. It's about setting one that's beyond that line so that you grow and you bring your best to the world. That's really what it's about. Okay? So there is a way. Now we're getting into a little bit more nitty gritty because I'm going to challenge you all to start thinking about a C-type goal. Now, this might be the first time that you draft a goal in this category, and that's okay. It might take a few times. I've been working with and coaching people for months now who are kind of constantly evolving this because the first few times it doesn't quite stick. That's how it was for me. The first few times I did purpose work and even derived my own personal purpose statement, it wasn't quite right yet. It just takes a little bit of time, and that's fine. Others of you, if you're really tapped in, you may articulate a goal right now that's like, bingo, yes, let's rock and roll. That's good. Sometimes it's about timing and readiness, and that's okay too. But there is a way of formatting and writing your C-type goal so that it has a certain power. And this again is a method developed from years and years of Bob Proctor in this space of human potential and goal setting and productivity and achievement and all these things kind of coming together. And what you do is you phrase it like this: I am so happy and grateful now that, and then you articulate your goal. You articulate your goal as if it's already happened. We're writing this in the present tense. We're writing this in the present tense. Okay. So why happy and grateful? Happy and grateful are very important core emotions for us that set the stage for manifestation. We're going to talk a lot more about this on day 3. Okay. But gratitude in particular really creates the chemical alchemy inside us for us to be in the right state of mind, to have the right mindset to do what we have to do to carry through on this C-type goal. So I'm so happy and grateful now that, and I'll just use my example from the last one. It's not my real goal now, by the way. It would be awesome, but it's not my real goal right now. I'm so happy and grateful now that I've completed the Marathon des Sables with a fantastic team of runners and crew. And if I was really wanted to focus in, I might even list my finishing time. Okay. So then if that's my goal, that's what I anchor into. That's my C-type goal. But here's what has to happen, because remember, it was about the growth and it's about action. So it is powerful just to write the goal and repeat it again and again. But let's face it, you do have to act, and you do have to begin the transformation process on yourself to become the person who's vibrating at the level of that goal. Because remember, I'm starting here in the A world, A and B world. That's where I'm vibrating right now. We'll talk more about vibration on day 3 too. But if I'm still vibrating there, I can say that 1,000 times a day, but it's not going to make it happen unless I do some inner work to adjust that vibration. Okay. So this is where affirmations come in. Now, signing up for the Purpose Lab, you got access to a little 20-minute audio course on affirmations. It's powerful. It's simple and powerful. So affirmations are ways of retooling our inner thinking and our inner paradigms so that we develop the traits, that we develop the mindset that we know we're going to need to get to that next goal. Okay, so an example from that I can create right now based on this goal. So if my goal is to run in this very intensive ultra marathon, I know I'm going to need a lot of self discipline in my training schedule, right? And so maybe if I feel that's a trait I don't have right now, then I might create an affirmation around that. And as you'll see from the affirmation course, you can phrase your affirmations similar to the goals. I'm so happy and grateful now that. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I enthusiastically embrace my running schedule and I'm full of exuberance and vitality as I start and finish my training runs. Something like that, right? That just came out of my mouth right now. So I would write that down and then I would kind of look at it and refine it. You want it to feel right. And then my daily practice would be this. I call it morning work because it's most powerful in the morning, but you can do it any time of day. But what you do is you find a quiet spot, you find a notebook, preferably handwritten, right? Like an old fashioned pen and paper, and you write out your goal. I am so happy and grateful now that. Okay. And then you see number 3 on this slide. It's called vivid visioning. What you do is you sit for a moment with that goal as if it's accomplished. And then with vivid visioning, you write out details of what it feels like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, all the sensations of having accomplished your goal, as many details as you can. I like to think of it as like a movie. Like if you were watching a movie about your goal accomplished, and it was maybe a kind of a compilation of all the things in your life with the goal accomplished. What are the different little scenes in that movie? And I just use a bulleted list, frankly, like I'll write my goal. And then bullet 1 is a little scene, a little vignette, a little scene from that goal accomplished. And then I flash to another one and I write that out. This vivid visioning is really important. We'll talk a lot more about this on day 2 and 3. But basically, you're trying to really connect with this image of the goal accomplished and get emotionally connected to it. This is really important. Emotions are really important in this process. You can't live up here in your head. You've got to bring it down into your emotional mind. And that's what the vivid visioning does. So I'm going to backtrack and go through the steps again and show you where affirmations fit. So my morning work, I write out my goal. I'm so happy and grateful now that. I do the vivid visioning under that. And then I think, okay, now it's time to work on the traits that I need to develop from the inside out. So then maybe I have 2 affirmations I'm focused on. And so I write those out as many times as I can based on the time I have. If you have time to write them 10 times, that just means you're going to move that much faster through this process. But just use the time you have. If you can write it 3 times, 5 times, that's great too. But you just write the affirmation 3 times. I'm so happy and grateful now that. I'm so happy and grateful now that. I'm so happy and grateful now that. Right? And that's the first stage of this process. You set the goal, you identify the affirmations, and then you do the morning work. Okay? That's where we're at, folks. So this is your day 1 Purpose Lab homework. Now you'll get this in the follow-up mail as well. You've got your workbook to guide you. Your workbook has a section to write out your C-type goal. We'll include a link to the affirmations course in today's follow-up email as well, just to remind you, you got it before, but no problem. We'll send you the link again. You can check that out. It's audio only. So while you're driving, while you're running, whatever, it's super convenient. But I do recommend listening to the affirmations course. And let me come back, stop the share. And that's it, friends. Like that's day 1 of the Purpose Lab. This is powerful stuff. And I had to make a lot of difficult decisions when I designed the Purpose Lab. I know people are busy and I couldn't ask them to be online for 6, 8, 10 hours, although I could talk about purpose for 6, 8, 10 hours, for 3 days, for 5 days. I really could. This happens to be my passion and my purpose. So I knew, okay, I need to distill this down into 3 powerful days that are not more than an hour. So what are the most high power, high impact concepts that I can do over these 3 days? And the first one was goals, because goals are the fuel. A well-designed goal is the fuel for true purpose work, because it's what's going to help you unlock a bigger you, a more expansive view. That's where it starts to get exciting. And, you know, I've been working with people on this work for many, many months now, and seeing them have these awakenings and ahas and the progress at a very personal level is the most gratifying thing you can imagine. And I want that to be you. I want you to take this seriously. I want you to give it genuine, authentic effort. And your life is the real laboratory. Like, yes, this is the purpose lab, but your life is the real laboratory. Start to change habits, start to change your thinking and your mindset, and then watch your life, watch the laboratory of your life and see how your experience changes. That's the real test. Okay. So I'm going to invite Maria to come on back and we're going to wrap up. And I'll see you all on day 2. Hey,
Hi.
Maria. All right.
I was trying
How
to
you
catch
doing?
that. I was trying to catch that. Your life is the real laboratory. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I truly believe that too. So man, so you've gone through this a lot, and I know every time you let yourself explore different layers. So what was a takeaway for you today that was maybe new or fresh, even though you've seen it so many times?
Yeah, well, just to say it, we all have different perspectives. And so for me, I can understand things quickly, but to actually have faith and believe in it is takes me time. And so hearing you talk about the emotions was pretty
Mm,
important for me, like having the emotional attachment to the goal. Um, yeah, and I think I just also this idea that we think a goal is something that we designed to achieve, and kind of reframing it to understand that a goal is really it's about the expansion, like the journey there. So yeah, I mean, I think since my first purpose lab, I see a lot of change, and this has opened a lot of doors of imagination for me. Um, and it just opens up so much more, and there's so much more to be done as well. Like it's just a very abundant process, and I think yeah, that was beautiful how you weaved everything together today. I really enjoyed that.
good, awesome, Maria. Yeah, I mean, watching your process has been so exciting and gratifying too. And from the purpose labs to thinking into results, which we'll talk more about that on day 2 and 3, but you've really embraced this process and let yourself go layer by layer. And like you said, it's a really rich and abundant process, and sometimes you can just take a piece at a time. And that's why one reason why I like the purpose lab is we can just go a day at a time and it's fine. We can still see cool things happen.
Yeah, I kind of also just want to accentuate like the beauty of this offering of the purpose lab and what you brought like put together is really taking the creme of the creme from what you're learning from Bob, what your influence from Ikigai, and I know that you studied that in depth, and then your own personal experiences. And so anytime something is put together, we're really taking the essentials and condensing them into this digestible form. I mean, that's a gift in today's busy world, right? Um, and like I said, like purpose work is so easy to just ignore. As important as it is, we can just completely not consider it. And so, I'm just grateful to have this come into my life and kind of think at least I'm getting control in some way or just grasping.
Yeah,
Because we
beautiful.
of course we have to surrender.
I know. There's
We
that
have to
whole level
surrender.
too, right? Exactly. So awesome. So we will send out the follow-up email for day 1. It will include a link to the recording and some other goodies like a link to the affirmations course again. And this works best. This process works best if you do kind of follow along, and even if you can't watch live, and we know a lot of people can't at 9 a.m., but if you can kind of stay on track and stay on course and block out the hour and just do it, even if you have to do it in the evening or get creative and just kind of follow along the 3-day process, it's really powerful.
Yeah, we'll be sending out an email every day after each session, and if something's not clear or you weren't able to get the email, you can reach out to me or to Ben, and we can figure out why that's the case.
All right, excellent, folks. So we'll see you on day 2. Send questions to us via the Facebook group. We hope to see some chatter out there, and have a beautiful night.
Okay. Bye.